Yo, welcome to the show, it's the Hey Bud Variety stream, leave you buzzing on a good flood. Topics all the way from the serious to absurd. We talking about life, so listen to these words. Hosts bring the heat like summer in the city. Debates so lit, they nothing but witty. From cooking tips to conspiracy hits, you laughing and learning when we spit these bits. Hey Bud, tune in, chill with us tonight. Grab a drink, lean back, vibe so tight. Fun and knowledge blending, it's a special brew. Hey Bud, it's the podcast just for you.
Hey, bud.
Hey, bud.
We're back.
We're back.
I believe this is round 2 of this episode after a little technical error.
Round 3.
We were wrong about something.
Yep. And by we, you mean you.
Team effort. Team effort.
But
anyway,
if you fail, we fail.
listen, we don't need to harp on things that certain people may or may not have done. But hey, bud.
Yeah.
So
We got a good one.
We were talking about Ukraine
Yeah.
and Russia, and that led me down another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Drones and warfare. And the reason it piqued my interest so much. All right. What is it? Estimates are anywhere from 700 to almost 900,000 soldier deaths on the Russian side, 40-some thousand on the Ukraine.
It's all lies.
Whatever.
I'd go with casualties.
I'm sure those numbers are all jacked up. The part I do believe is this crazy number of how many have actually been killed by drones. Now, it only has the Russian estimated side because Ukraine, the side that obviously we don't have anything to do with, doesn't
Correct.
release this information. But they're saying 80% of Russian casualties from drones. 80%.
It's a terrifying statistic.
That is an absolute game changer for warfare today.
I actually believe that.
Like,
I believe that statistic because both sides are using drones so much. I 100% believe that 80% of the casualties are coming from drones. And I've been watching this long enough and seeing the video that's coming out. You're not getting a lot of video of like traditional battles.
no.
You're getting a lot
You're
of video
getting
of
drone video.
drone videos.
Whether it's even just observing drone, watching another drone drop something on them.
Right.
But like 90% of the shit you see is all drone. All of it.
I'm really glad.
Actually, 80%, sorry.
I'm really glad that we're not there.
But I'm glad I'm out.
Like a lot.
Like, I can't check this out. I can't fly drones for shit.
It almost worked that time. You're gonna hit. Our
Oh,
TV
wait a minute.
screen.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Fuck.
crap. Well,
Like I said, I'm glad I'm out. Because your boy ain't a drone guy.
you are worthless.
I bought that for like $15 on Amazon 3 years ago. That's the best I've ever flown it.
There's newer technology. I'm sure we could figure it out now, but
That was the automatic button that was supposed to work.
it did until
Kinda.
you ran it into our monitor screen.
Details.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. We are going to kind of cover a dark topic. It's interesting. It's incredibly interesting, but it's terrifying, especially if you have, military-age children, which I don't, thankfully. Yet.
Don't worry,
Hey.
they'll have much worse things by the time.
It's going to get so much worse. Oh, no. Hey, follow us on Rumble. If you don't have the app, download the app. It works great. And they are not, censorship overlords. But you could also watch us on YouTube. Depending on the topic we're covering, we might have to blur some stuff out. We're going to check the rules on this one. Although I think we're within the okay part.
In reality, we're probably not going to edit it. We're just,
this
it's just going to be taken down.
Some of the stuff that I wanted to put on here is definitely not going to go on here.
Yeah.
Rumble, YouTube, Spotify. Check us out there. Give us a like. Leave comments if you can, even if it's telling us how stupid we are. I'm totally game for that. And if it is something about how stupid we are, start it with Dom is ... whatever the comment is. Because obviously I'm not the one saying anything stupid. So it's
literally the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard you say.
It's going to work. The people will respond. All right, where are we starting off, bud? Give me the start off here because I have stuff to say.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, in the beginning, drones were like this cool new thing, and it was super expensive when they first came out. And then all of a sudden, you know, once you get that mass supply and demand, it starts bringing that price down. So anybody can buy a drone.
Yeah.
And it was started off as something that I think most people probably to this day still think is just a cool, fun thing to do. But the implications in warfare aren't really on the forefront of most minds.
Well, I don't think most people are weird like me and track. Most people are not as weird as me and track this stuff as closely.
You could have stopped it
we
as
do.
weird as me.
That's fair. It's fair. But I watch a lot of video. I watch a lot of video because
A lot of dumb shit.
when this really started off and we started to see, you know, the different tactics being used from FPV drones, considering you're not in anymore and I still am, I watched it really closely because it's something that could potentially have a little bit more of an impact on me than it could for you at this point.
Yeah.
And it rapidly changed. And by rapidly changed, I mean it was within like spans of weeks.
Let's call it what it is. It's been in the span of 3 years. It's gone from like we've used them for like observing and stuff like that. Because even back in 2012, most units had, I would say like a small, I forget what they call them, but a smaller like aerial reconnaissance drone. in like a
it was
platoon.
observation stuff.
It was
I mean,
more observation.
The only thing,
but it was still pretty limited.
the only thing that was dropping munitions, I think, was like Predator drones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And you had and
The
I,
big ones in the sky, not the ones you're carrying
right.
around. with you.
Iran had big drones. I mean, and that had the capability of launching like standardized munitions. That's what we were used to.
Yep.
Hellfire missiles, stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, okay, that's a platform it's basically launching something that an airplane could launch.
It was
because
almost
they're
like they were
huge.
using it as opposed to a bomber with people,
Right.
so they could do those longer range things.
Long
It
range
wasn't
targeted strikes.
such a one-on-one or smaller unit type of thing.
When I watched the first videos coming out of Ukraine, and it was these relatively small drones, and they were just dropping like
Grenades,
tiny bombs and grenades. I went, oh,
mortars and grenades were
this
like
is a total game changer. You have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go. So
well, I'd say they probably used them over the years, but I don't think I mean, obviously, we haven't seen it to a scale like it is now in Russia.
Dude,
and
I don't-
Ukraine. It's like the number one thing.
I
they're
don't
doing.
remember at any point, right? So GWAT, Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't ever remember reports coming out. And this seems like something that the Taliban and others would have come up with.
I'm sure they did.
Do you
but it
remember
wasn't-
hearing about it?
Yeah.
Dropping from drones. That's what I'm saying. Like this.
Well, maybe not so much in the conflicts we were in, but I know I've heard of it, and I heard it like years back, but not necessarily
It
on
was like a weird one-off. Like
yeah, some were being used and whatnot, but I don't. But now at the actual scale that these drones can be made and implemented so quickly,
yeah.
like it gives that fucking nerd in the basement the ability to like blow out a convoy.
Which is, dude.
At the end of this, I'm going to show you
implications-
that video of a really somewhat expensive,
Yeah.
but terrifying drone, because this is what really just. I looked at him like, that's absolutely terrifying. If I ever found that out in the world,
Let's
And-
watch something really terrifying. You ready?
Wait, let's.
Are you
first,
ready to
let's-
watch something super terrifying?
Man, here we go. Well,
It's not the audio that's terrifying.
no, and you probably can't hear it because John had me. There we go. Had to change it back to the right setting, but this is what most people probably expect drone stuff to be like. These cool shows, and like it's there for entertainment. It's
Okay.
neat, but
Let's talk about why that's terrifying. Because it's cool to watch.
oh, you're talking about because of maybe where it was,
Well, not so much where it was,
but who did it?
but who?
Which
No.
would be one in the same. So stop telling me I'm wrong, goddammit.
No, here. Same thing. When I'm wrong, we're wrong. Shut up.
Don't use my fucking line against me.
No, here's why it's terrifying, dude. Because, like, okay, you watch that, it's super impressive, and that's awesome. The terrifying part is all of those drones are completely coordinated together. They're all pre-programmed. No one's controlling any of them. And they're that accurate.
Mm-hmm.
When that actually becomes full-scale military technology, which, by the way,
It is.
it's getting there.
Well, I mean, they'll use different tactics, but as far as like the coordination and all that,
Sure, we have GPS stuff. And things like that. They're already doing it. There's ways to defeat the different communication methods, right?
yeah, jamming signals
Jamming
and
stuff
such,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. But what happens?
when it-
happens when that happens, John?
Oh, they just figure out how to not get it jammed.
It-
You ever heard of a tow missile?
You're a tow missile.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
You smell like a tow missile.
I don't know. I don't even know what that is, but like I'm highly.
I know.
I'm highly offended by it.
I know what you're saying, and the only reason I say that is because I mentioned to you before about how same thing back when I was in Iraq in 2008.
Yeah.
When we were using the Duke system and the jammers and all that stuff, and I mean obviously EFPs, that was a big problem.
Those
for
were-
us back
those
then.
were
They
gnarly.
nasty, dude.
Super gnarly.
Like blowing hot and molten copper straight through tanks and shit.
Side note, that was like the first thing I learned when I went into the Army because I came in as a combat engineer and they're like, hey, have you ever seen a copper spear? And then they started showing videos and I'm like,
Dude.
oh, I should have gone into like hospital networking or something.
Yeah, those doors,
But
they're
I
only
didn't.
good for bullets anymore.
But I didn't.
But we when we implemented those jammers, and also like the rhinos where it just had glow plugs on the end because
Yeah.
the IR signal would take the heat of the engine and
Yeah.
position it. So we put that down, moved the thing so that it would blow off before and take out the engine versus the gunner. But what they started doing to us, because our jammers were so effective to like, I don't remember what it was, like 150 meters, something like that. Well, then they got smart and they dumbed it down. So it's like every time we advance the technology, they dumb it down so our technology is worthless.
Yeah.
So, and we'll show a video here in a second, but it's kind of the same thing that I experienced when we were in Iraq. What they would do is they would actually bury the command wire and do one of two things. It would either just do the old school method of a guy sitting there clicking a button far enough out,
hitting it off a battery. Yeah.
or they would just bury that wire 175 meters out past our jamming signal, still put an antenna on there, be further away, and then you just set up your little markers and boom, right past it.
Defeating whatever you're being attacked with is always going to be a thing, and then defeating the defeat is always going to be a thing. I think that the rapidness of the amount of change, and that's probably a really horrible way to word that, but like how fast things have been getting defeated has gone. It's like exponentially.
Well, I think
you're talking weeks,
days.
could be days. Like, okay, so you look at like major advancements in weapons technology. We'll just use the firearm to begin with. Like once people who invented the firearm, the Chinese, and then later on in Europe, when they came up against people that were still using arrows and like trebuchets, I mean, they just dominated. They dominated for as long as it took for that other side to actually
Catch up.
even gain that weapon to make it even. Now
Or
it's not-
find a defense.
or find a defense. And now it's not even look. The electronic warfare guys obviously figured out how to defeat the drones when they're on a direct signal when it's an FPV.
Yep.
They figured out how to defeat the drones when they're automatically targeted. And
Well, and they've
sometimes
got
that's
that early tracking.
sometimes it's a physical defeat, right? You're just going to shoot them down.
Good luck.
What we're gonna get into next in this next video we're gonna play. There is no electronic warfare defeat that you can use. You actually just have to use a physical defeat.
Well, yeah.
And these things are they're not easy to shoot down.
And just a little pre-context on this video here. Kind of like back to the story I was talking about, how we would do. Oh, why are you turned off, John? I'll turn you back on. There you are. Oh, there it is. when we put on those,
It's okay. Nobody wants to see me
That's-
anyways. You could have left the picture.
I would have rather turned off the audio. However, Kama,
Thanks, friend.
how they were burying the command wire out further past our jamming signals. I mean, Russia's done they did the same thing. Instead of, just flying that drone out there, now they've got fiber optic drones. So they've got these fiber optic rolls that go out to, I think they said, 6 miles? It's something nuts.
I thought it was 2 kilometers, but it could be. It could be.
Yeah,
up to 6 miles.
I've seen a couple different things, but they just ordered. I want to say there was reports of 1,300 of these things out of China that they got, and the thing is, it's fucking cheap, dude. Compared to the munitions that we've used over the years in war, drones are so cheap.
This is what I said when I brought up the tow missile, right? This type of technology, wire guided, has been around for forever.
Yep.
The difference is, like with the wire guided, you're basically holding that reticle on target.
Yep.
And that's telling that missile where to go. This is you can go in any direction. You're not like, oh, I have to shoot in this direction and track left or right.
Yeah. I mean, it limits you on distance.
It limits you
but
on
it
distance,
enhances your video quality, the response and everything to it.
Yeah, but it limits who you're tracking with what they can do to avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
Like at all.
I don't know if they've come when I first pulled this up. I watched 2 different things. I watched one behind the lines with the Ukraine drone unit.
Yep.
Which was wild because not one of them was a soldier before this kicked off. Half of them were like teachers and plumbers and shit like that. And there was like a 21-year-old programmer who's like the lead of this drone unit.
It's a nerd war,
dude. It's a nerd war.
It's a nerd war. Okay, so for all you nerds out there, like congratulations, you guys are getting picked up first.
Stop. I never meant that. And it wasn't me. It was him.
I said it. I don't care. You nerds are going to the front first, dude. I'm old and broke, and they're not taking me anymore.
Yeah, well, no, you're already in. They'll keep you.
Oh, they're going to keep me,
Sucks
but
to
they're going
suck.
to be like, go sweep something. Like, sweet.
But yeah, so this is just a quick little video showing this drone. I think this is the same way we pulled up. We'll see in a second.
I think it is.
Recently, Russian forces in the Kursk region have deployed a new type of drone, which is guided not by radio signals, but by optical fiber. These quadcopters are equipped with a spool of optical fiber that unravels as the drone is launched.
No.
The cable remains attached to the drone,
I don't know what that
but
is.
not to the remote, because at
Some
long
Russian
distances,
version of
it would be difficult for the drone to pull the cable. Instead, the cable is laid out as the drone moves forward. Despite seeming old school for not being wireless, these drones have significant advantages. They are immune to jamming, and there are no early warning signals from them. Moreover, the video feed
I
is of
forgot
high
that's the other
quality
part.
with high frame rates.
Because all these guys are
drones
running
have been
around with
shown to
these
inflict
little
serious
units to
damage on Ukrainian armored vehicles.
see the signal, but you can't even
In
see
one
it.
video, a drone attacks a Stryker vehicle equipped with long-range reconnaissance sensors. The vehicle appears abandoned by the roadside, possibly hit by a mine or another drone. In another video,
Oh,
a
one of
tank
ours.
is targeted from behind.
No,
The
it's
drone
not.
can
Said
be seen
Stryker.
flying slowly toward the tank.
We were
And although
stolen
a
from
pickup
him.
truck briefly comes between the drone and the tank, the drone stays locked on its target.
don't
Despite the
even know it's
presence of
there.
jammers and electronic warfare sensors,
They know
on the
it's there
pickup,
now. They
the
probably
drone
see it,
remains
and they're going,
unaffected and completes
Sorry,
its mission.
guys.
In a third instance, an armored car from
But
the
this other
Ukrainian
part, I think
army
there's
is
a
struck
part coming up
while
here,
it is
just like
recovering a disabled BMC
to really
trophy.
show
the drone hits
how
the vehicle
precise
directly at
you
the
can be
window.
with these things and
Although
like
these
get
drones are more
into
expensive
doorways,
than their
windows.
radio-controlled counterparts. They are still cost-effective compared to guided anti-tank missiles. Their ability to engage targets beyond the line of sight adds to their value. In the fourth scenario, a drone targets a pickup truck. The drone ascends slowly before moving smoothly toward the vehicle. Despite being spotted by the crew, who stopped the vehicle,
I kind of
they
have to
did not
think that,
exit.
like,
The drone struck the front windshield. In all 4 cases, these drones attacked armored vehicles. One notable observation is that these drones are slower compared to radio-controlled ones, which allows more reaction time. However,
That's
so
what I was
far,
just gonna say.
Ukrainian forces have not claimed to have successfully shot down any of these drones.
That's what I was saying.
well,
like,
they're not that big.
they don't.
You talk about ways to defeat these things, right? And if you're talking about a wire guided, they're not big. What do you shoot at those with, right? Like I know that they have all these like, oh, well, we have these shotguns that shoot out like basically like a drone net that's supposed to wrap up in the impellers or whatever.
Okay. You got to be pretty fucking close, and if it goes off, you're done anyhow.
Like a shotgun shooting something like that is not going to get you out to 100 meters. It's going to get you to what?
No.
15?
That's why it's so
15
terrifying.
meters?
Because what do you do to stop it?
Right. I mean, we're going to come up with something. I guess the
Are we going to start? Are we going to start making all the trap teams? Are we going to start drafting?
Yeah, nerds, and the trap kids.
Yeah, not those trap kids. The other trap. Well, we'll probably get all trap kids. All trap kids.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think probably. Yeah,
works.
I like it. No, for anybody that thinks that like we're going to fight a war near peer or anything like that ever again, it's done. Yeah,
well,
it's done. And
what do you think about this though? Do you think the soldier's going to be gone? Like, what do you do at that point?
No, I don't know. I don't think that soldiers will be gone, right? Because we've kind of already proven that.
Well, do you think? Okay,
this theory of like,
do you think you'll still need the infantry to the degree it is now? Like, do you still need those ground troops, or do you just need a whole bunch of these drone units? And then what's going on? You're drone on drone.
You can't see. We made this mistake. We made this mistake before when we were like, oh, if we just have massive air superiority, like we don't need troops on the ground because we can just bomb people into oblivion. And like, yeah, you can do that, but if you don't go hold that street corner somehow, and either with a physical presence of a human being, of a soldier, or maybe we progress in the technology to where we just have drone humanoids. Something has to physically.
It's coming a lot.
I know it is. I know it is. I'm just saying, like, something has to actually physically be there at all times.
Yeah,
in a presence. You're never going to get to the point where it's like,
but then
we can just
okay.
use
There's
these
a physical
drones to
presence,
patrol.
but that doesn't necessarily answer it now because that physical presence could be like I was just watching. What is it? The 3rd gen Tesla robot.
Yeah.
Like it's not there yet, but it's coming quick.
That stuff's coming.
It's coming quick.
But the reality is, even on like a philosophical level, like nobody cares if a drone dies.
Right.
So in order for people to care enough about the space that you're inhabiting, there has to be people there.
The part that I fear the most,
I think drones will be much like drone stuff like that, right? Like the Tesla drone.
Yeah.
That's going to be your attack force, but your defense force is not going to be drones. Like the entire purpose
I think
of
it'll
actually,
be a mix.
and the entire purpose of actually moving forward and capturing ground is so that like you are physically occupying that, it becomes yours. And if it becomes yours, then people are going to
right.
move
But those
onto
people
it, right?
can come after the robots took care of it.
Right. That's why I'm saying I think that a military presence as far as people later on is going to be more of a defensive stance than an attack stance.
I think the part that I fear the most is it's going to escalate things to a degree we don't want it to. Because we're gonna fight a war drone on drone, but then we get down to the bottom of it and somebody's gonna be like, fuck this, I'm tired of shooting tech. I'm just gonna bomb the shit out of that country. Or like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Bring it to
right.
that next level. And,
Right.
and then what happens? She's going until one nuclear power gets too pissed off and does something stupid.
I don't think philosophically it's a good idea that we move away from humans fighting wars to purely tech for that reason.
Right.
Two things.
I would agree with that.
Two things. If it's purely based on tech, then there will never be a revolution in a country. Anybody that wants to overthrow a dictator, like a true dictator, people that should be fighting for their freedom, there will never be one of those ever again. And the reason for that is because
You're saying the people against their government?
Yeah, because the government's always going to be able to outspend.
Well, because it finally levels the playing field.
No, the government will always be able to outspend on tech.
Sure.
Always. So
when
there
it comes
is no
to
leveling.
drones, if you've got enough people, you can kind of...
There is no leveling the playing field.
You could strategically take out those people.
Dumb. Listen to me.
Well, then that's
Without
a stupid country.
Without interrupting, listen
That's
to
going to
me.
be tough. I learned it from you, Dad.
Without interrupting, listen to me. If there's an uprising, it's going to require either that the people conducting the uprising have the essential funds that can outmatch a government, which, like never, like rebel causes are always underfunded.
Sure.
The government always has the
Well, now
upper
that
hand.
USAID's gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dirty. The government's always going to have the ability to have more funds, and they have more connections, so they're going to always have the tech.
Yeah.
The tech's going to die on the government side. People are going to die on the rebel side. You're going to shut that down way faster than people fighting people. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. I don't like it because it doesn't give it locks in control. All these AI battle bots, right, is going to lock control in for government. It's going to do another thing on the global scale where it locks in control for the government that can outproduce and outbuy technology.
We're seeing that now.
You're going to have
the countries mass producing these things. It's insane.
Yeah. And don't get me
Crazy.
wrong, like Ukraine's producing their own drones. It's not like
they're
like
doing a bunch of 3D printed.
Yeah.
There's actually been like a crowdfunding sort of 3D printed thing from all over, and they've literally printed parts and sent it there, and they've been assembled there.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's not that a small country can't get a hold of the technology, but if you have a large country like Russia and they do a good job of developing their AI BattleBot technology, it's going to outdo whatever Ukraine has. And the only chance that a country like Ukraine would have is if they're getting their BattleBots from us. So now you have a proxy war of BattleBots. But why?
not that we would ever do that.
Right, not that we would ever do that. But why would any country at this point, if that's the future, which I don't think it is, not be just amassing armies right now of these BattleBots? And maybe they are.
I mean, what was it the UK that said they were going to give Ukraine like 1 million drones? I don't know if that actually came to fruition because that was on Zelensky's little world tour after the White House thing.
Dude, I don't think people...
But I think we're getting pretty close to it.
I don't think people really have, just on these little flying drones, right? These FPV drones right now, I don't think people really have a great idea of like how they're actually used. So this was... Ukraine struck. This was on. Let's see. The story came out
Talking
on
about the Moscow thing?
March 20th. No, this is March 20th. This is a strategic bomber base in Russia, right? Ukraine launched an attack on this bomber base, and it was pretty dang successful, right? This base is 435 miles away from the front lines. So it's not like these drones just have like a little,
Well,
a little flying area.
I would say
Like,
a lot of them do, but that's a game changer, that distance.
Dude, Ukraine attacked Russia with Ukrainian-made drones.
And what did you say the distance was? Like 400 and some miles?
One of the set of drones. It's the Liuchi drone. It's like the 196 something. What was it called? The AN-196. Okay, that was part of this attack. Now, Russia claims to have shot down like 136 of these things. 136.
Which means there was 300, 400 of them.
Right. What's their payload? You want to give me a guess what their payload is?
300 pounds.
110 to 165 pounds.
It's still a lot more than I'd expect for a drone. I just went wild with it.
Right. Which, by itself, that's a big warhead. If you shot down 136 of them, let's say there was only 250.
What's a mortar round weigh?
Not that much. 15 pounds. Let's see. Mortar.
Well, I guess what's the biggest round you could fit in that thing?
Like 3 pounds. 9 to
How
10.
much?
An 81 millimeter mortar is 9 to 10 pounds. An 81 millimeter mortar that's a big boom.
It'll do enough.
That's gonna hurt.
It'll do a It'll.
Though that thing will carry 165 pounds max. and maybe that decreases your range. So let's just call it 100-pound explosive.
Let's say you load 10 on there. You got 30 pounds, bud.
Right.
Each one's got 30 pounds of explosives that can do serious damage. And say you could actually drop each one individually and pinpoint target that.
And I'm sure they can.
Fucked.
I'm sure they can. But this is inside Russia where this attack took place. And I'm reading from a Reuters article. You can go look this up. Just go to Reuters and look up Ukraine attacked airfield near Engels strategic bomber base. You're going to find it. Yeah. It was a wild story. Okay, so Moscow responded by actually hitting Kiev.
Yeah.
Killed 9 people. I think that number has gone up since then. But like they used drones to do that. They've been flying drones deep into Ukraine for a while now for attacks. Now, not as much as they've been using like missiles because they have a ton of them.
Yeah.
So they can use them. They've been hitting Ukraine with missiles for a long time. But
yeah, but it's a hell of a lot easier to mass produce a bunch of drones than just keep bombing with missiles.
I don't
Look at the cost difference. What's a Hellfire cost?
I don't know that missiles
60
have
some
a
grand.
future. I don't know that missiles have a future. Why would
I don't think I would say they probably still have a future, but it won't be on the level that it has been.
I mean,
because you can do the same amount of damage with like $1,000 drone.
I can see it. I can see using missiles air to air, right? Because there's no drones really that are flying like fighter jets right now.
Until we find out what this new F-47 is.
Sure. And maybe that's a change, but I just think that if you are in a near peer fight like we are, well, it's a fake near peer, Ukraine and Russia, right? Why would you spend all that money? Even if half your drones get shot down and you send out 400 of them, it's still cheaper than sending one missile.
I mean, look at
and you can hit multiple targets.
A $500 drone can take out a $5 million tank.
Yeah.
The ROI is amazing.
From a business standpoint, the ROI is amazing.
I mean,
it really is.
It has 100% changed how any future war is going to be fought. I got that video up here of that.
Dude, it's not just wars. It's not just the way wars are going to be fought. Think about physical security of buildings.
Think about that crazy guy that would have fucking shot some place up. Now he doesn't even have to go there.
He doesn't even have to go there. But on the other side of that building can also have like drone defense systems set up.
Chicken wire?
No, I mean like other drones.
Yeah.
Look, there's that silly dog one that we're gonna get to in a while. They're like $10,000.
No, and that's the part that terrifies me.
Are they less?
Much.
But think about having that. Say, okay, my property, it's decent sized property. If I was worried about it, right, and if I was worried about it, it's because I would have enough money to be worried about it.
You don't even need a bunch of money to worry about it,
dude. You could they self-roam. They self-roam. They can have
when they find something.
Stuff. And when their battery gets low, they just
come on
walk their butts back and go charge.
Mm-hmm.
Look, why would you the amount of money that you could save on actual like security defense stuff and probably still have a better outcome.
Have you ever seen the cost of a metal fence?
It's outrageous. Outrageous. It would so bad.
Let's say you wanted a decent sized fence around your property, just around the homestead area. You're probably 70 grand.
Probably higher than that.
Probably,
I mean,
I'm being conservative.
Depending on which part I wanted to fence in. If it was just chain link fence, yeah, probably
Robo-Dog?
70 to 100 grand.
Robo-Dog with a flamethrower?
Yeah.
Under 3.
Should we do Robo-Dog
with
a flamethrower?
You could get 10 of them and still be less than half the cost. So what I'm saying is we need to buy some Robo-Dogs with flamethrowers on them. Let's take a look at this thing and then I'll pop right into that fucking terrifying dog.
Ukrainian forces are launching.
This is that one that has that range of what was it, 600 some kilometers?
It's heading deep into Russian territory.
I think it'll
over
tell us.
600 kilometers, targeting an ammunition depot.
Up to 2,000 kilometers, so 1,200 miles.
The Ukrainian Defense Intelligence Team carefully preps the drone, guiding it through pre-programmed routes designed to evade Russian air defenses.
Yeah, dude. And they're not, these things are not small. But yeah, you can, 1,243 miles, right? With 110 to 100.
Whoa. What do you mean 1,200?
That's how far that one that you just showed can go.
1,200 miles?
1,243 miles.
Jesus. Oof.
That's scary.
Okay, well, this one won't go that far, but
it's cooler. It's cooler, and I want to own one super bad.
I'm gonna give a heads up on this one because I saw this and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. That's a goddamn robo dog with a flamethrower on it. Okay, now let me tell you, I looked this up, and that dog on Amazon right now, there's 2 versions, but if you want just the simpler version, that's gonna be just fine. $2,300.
Can I?
That flamethrower? $600.
What?
Do you know how much and it's already got the programming for the dog to control it and all that.
Yeah.
So all you need to do on top of that is buy some sort of remote trigger mechanism. So all you have to do is have a button that's remote. You can probably put it on whatever fucking thing. It might even have a spot on that thing to plug in for an extra, an accessory. You know what I mean? They just didn't expect it to be a flamethrower. So let's watch this when it gets into the nighttime, dude.
What is it with humanity? It's like, dude, we made this super cool thing.
Check out this
We
dog.
should make it shoot fire.
We can make veterans have service animals that never get tired. Fuck no. Put a flamethrower
to be
on
honest, a flamethrower dog for a veteran with PTSD would be dope. And tell me that's not going to be awesome.
I wonder if I can bring that on a plane. Don't worry, he's on empty. That's just
the overhead.
That's just the fumes you're smelling.
It's fine.
All right, let's play this thing, and it's just silly. It's downright silly.
I love it already,
Dude. When this motherfucker hops in the dark and shoots flames.
Look at that. Scare the crap out of me, dude. Okay, trench warfare, right? This thing starts coming down the trench at you, and then just
Look at that.
Well, of course it's got a green laser. Why wouldn't it have a green laser?
Think about that. There's smoke, there's fog, and you see this light. And this little fucking robot dog.
It's at like knee level. You're like, what the hell? Are we even? Can they even see this? I have no idea. Did we even change it to the right screen?
You've been slacking. I kept up.
Look at this thing.
Ready?
I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Ah!
Dude. So one thing that I did find out is most people, you can still put they've put like rifles and
Oh yeah,
and
well, we've
machine
seen that
guns
for
on
years.
there. Look at that.
No!
Look at that.
No,
He can hop up and get you. Terrifying.
we're so screwed, dude.
For
We're
less-
so screwed.
For less than $3,000, John, you can have your own fuck you robo dog and burn down the world.
We're screwed, man.
Dude.
We're screwed.
So the first time I watched this and found it, see this little whatever up there? The first time I actually watched this and found it, it was an ad for the flamethrower, and the flamethrower is $600. And the dog's $2,300.
The only reason I don't own the Elon Musk flamethrower
It's because it sold out too fast?
No, because my wife said no. What? Why?
You asked your wife, you idiot.
Well, okay, first off, yes. Because it wasn't like, hey, honey, I'm buying a new gun for the house.
It's not a gun.
It was, I would like to throw fire at things. And she said, absolutely not.
Well,
I blame you for that, Jana.
You're wrong.
They're worth so much money now.
They were selling for like 10 grand right after they sold out on eBay.
I'm aware. I was on the list.
It was not the same thing as the cyber whistle because I got that bitch. I paid $50 for
the
that stupid
cyber whistle.
I paid $50 for that stupid fucking whistle. And now it sits in a closet.
Could have had a
And
flamethrower, Jana.
let me tell you something. Worst whistle ever. It's like a high pitch. It's annoying.
Look, I want to be mad about not having a flamethrower. However, my
At
wife,
least didn't buy a fucking
My
Cybertruck
wife-
whistle.
in her infinite wisdom, okay, she's probably right. Because
Well, you got
may
too
not
many
be
dry down
I may not be
trees
sitting
around your
I may
house.
not be sitting here today had she let me get that for one of two reasons.
John,
One,
what happened to your woods? I wanted to turn it into all
I
farmland.
like they were blocking my view. No, I would have lit myself on fire, or I would have ended up in prison for 100%. So, Jana, thank you for not.
It's only illegal if you get caught.
Jana, thank you for not letting me get the flamethrower that I would have had a lot of fun with.
Well, hopefully next month I'll have one. I did buy a $10 raffle ticket for a not a flamethrower. It's actually the same company
The not a flamethrower.
that took over that design and all that. Pretty
Beautiful.
excited about that.
I mean, is there anything even funny to talk about with these? Like, I want to find something funny to talk about the drones.
I mean,
I want to find it. I'm really
I
struggling.
think if you wanted to put a lighter side on it, the good that it
Put a
does do,
flamethrower
how
on it?
about yeah, no shit. the lighter side on the drones and warfare is it does do some good. Although I think the horrifying terror of what it can do is worse. But they've also been implementing like, excuse me, ground drones.
Yeah.
So
But
these
did you-
unmanned vehicles
did
either
you find
bringing
that-
ammo or the best thing is like, say you got that guy that you
like
can't get to.
like a Sergeant Reckless, but Robo style.
I don't know what Sergeant Reckless is.
I think it was Korean War. They got a racehorse and like they trained it to run back and forth between the ammo depot and where the Marines were,
Yeah.
and it could carry.
Except this one's a robot and
Yeah.
it goes, but they
Right.
also have like medvac where you can't get to the guy, but it can go in there.
and scoop them up. I mean, Look, I know that there's positives. Did you see the one? Did you see the Robo Dog with wheels for feet?
Yeah. Dude.
I did.
I saw him zoom up and then he saw some surgery. He's like, boop, boop.
Dude. Okay. Hot take. If you could roboize any animal, what animal would you roboize? Robotize? Roboize. I don't know. We're
You know,
making up words.
I'm not going to lie. I first thought is giraffe because of the height, but I think you got to go rhino.
Rhino
Go to
would
the
be
ground.
sweet.
Great center of gravity.
Rhino would be sweet.
Horn you right up the ass.
I would do a snake. I would make a robotic snake.
Fuck you. That sounds terrifying.
But like a big one.
Like what's big?
Like an anaconda.
Well, mine don't want none, son, if it ain't got
Dude.
buns.
I'm just saying. Think about how quietly.
I want to know
that
how
thing-
big. How big?
Well, I don't know. What's an anaconda? Like big, 20-something feet. But
Can
they're,
be.
But they're quiet. And like they can climb. And
Oh,
they're
yeah, they
just
can, can't they?
they're just all out, That would be terrifying. From a PSYOP perspective, a robo snake would be terrifying. Yeah. You're welcome. Hot take. Yeah. U.S.
No, thank
government.
you.
Hope you're listening to that.
No, thank you. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all we got for the drones and all that. It's terrifying. It's drastically changing by the day. And it's pretty much going to change how we get into any future conflicts, I think.
Where do we get into with, okay, here's something I wanted to talk about that we kind of started last time that you think the technology is there for, and I don't.
Oh, we're going to fucking do this again.
No. And just hear me out.
Sure.
I don't think that it has auto-targeting AI capabilities yet. Because it can distinguish vehicles, but say, like in this conflict, most of the vehicles are pretty similar. Most of the vehicles are Russian-made. So the ones that you'd be able to pick out would be the U.S. vehicles that because we're not involved, that they don't have a lot of. When it can target based on specifics of like genetics, and
What do you mean genetics?
All right, so
Be more specific. Are you talking about just like
I'm talking
facial
about
recognition?
we have facial recognition.
Their ancestry?
So say the U.S. is fighting China.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of like white-skinned, red-headed Chinese that I'm aware of.
Casualties of war.
Right?
Less than 5%, I bet.
Now the U.S. is difficult because we're a very mixed culture. There's a lot of like diverse genetic background.
Sure.
So the danger to us is a lot higher on accidentally self-targeting U.S. troops unless they have some kind of like electronic way for an AI-powered drone who's trying to target a specific enemy troop, which that also gets into a whole nother.
Well, the U.S. doesn't like to. There has been some drones and whatnot, but they want to have eyes on. They want to have a human have eyes on.
Right. Do you
I
think
don't agree
that'll
with
stay
you.
that way forever?
I think it will for a while so the technology is there, right? I don't agree with you on that because simple things. And I say that because you have to program it on what that target has to have and redundant factors of what that target should have before it engages, because you don't want that fratricide from it. Which one you could have look, when we were in we used to have those little battery IR chem lights that would flash so the birds above us. So because keeping out the troops is an easy thing as long as fucking Joe Snuffy doesn't forget his goddamn 9-volt battery for his little flashy fucking light.
I go back
so
to
whatever. But here's the thing: if it's within X amount of feet of others that are, it's not going to hit it. So it's all about the programming. But I think the technology is there with the facial recognition we have. Say we have intelligence on a group of people. If you're doing more of a precision target, and you know their cell phone number, you can ping that IP address. It's going right for it. Boom, that's the guy. Right. So
which we do have now.
I think it's a lot easier when you're talking about a kinetic warfare, because the majority, if we were to go to war with somebody like China, right, they're going to more than likely have some sort of military uniform on, except for a few rogue elements that don't.
Yeah, but uniforms are super easy to change, right? And it would be I'm saying, it would be easier to go against China.
But if that uniform's not on there, the default is don't kill. So that's the defense of it.
Yeah.
But do we have the technology where we could do that? Yeah. I just don't think logistically anybody's thought of a good way to implement it, and they don't trust it because it is such a we've gone from zero to fucking hero in no time with this technology. So nobody trusts it yet.
So what happens, just as a side conversation, what happens when it gets there?
We're fucked.
We
are fucked.
It's a terrifying thought to have, that you can just and China's done this a lot better than we have. Not to bring up conspiracy theories, but when we were doing all that COVID testing, there were legitimate stories from news sources coming out saying, "Hey, China is actually collecting data on genetic sequence when these tests are being used." Right. So
we should look up who owns 23andMe. I bet some Chinese company got their dick fingers in it.
Actually, but so we're like freely providing all of this data.
Yeah.
And now we have drones that can be programmed with an AI to say we're specifically going to target X.
What did I say? What was my example?
I don't remember which one.
Cell phone.
Well, the cell phone, yeah. But okay, so yeah,
that's the easiest one.
You're your own ping at that point, right?
Yep.
Now you start talking about like, okay, for our purposes, to be able to use that against an HVT, right? You've got an HVT that's in a crowded area, and you just send a drone, and that HVT is going to somehow be able to scan for that specific genetic sequence. And
well, you can do that. Facial recognition is so far advanced now that that's why I say,
unless
I think
you're wearing a mask.
Remember iPhone? You could program it to get your exact thing with your mask on, and even when you didn't program it, it will work some
That
point.
was from that.
Okay,
well, that was a
take
glitch.
the mask off, right? But what I'm saying is I think
No,
it has more of an application on a more precise target with that type of a technology right now, where I think it will expand.
I think the scarier part is that you could have a mask on and it wouldn't matter. That to me is the scary part. Right?
You just got to figure out what the other target is. Like I said, cell phone, which most people are going to have, and when you're talking HVT, they probably got that info. You know what I mean? Because all they got to do is intercept and ping their phone.
All right, here's a second one I'd like to go over with
you. Hold on, that reminded me of another thing these fucking goofballs would do back in the day. Remember back in the flip phone days?
Yeah.
And like the Nokia brick?
I have a flip phone.
Yeah, that one's so stupid. Anyway. But what I'm saying is they're not dumb. Like they would almost revert back to a dumber technology to beat our advanced technology.
Yeah.
So when we're trying to track their phone, because I remember we followed this one Humvee. They just got a big old screen in the back, just left, right. Like they're just bringing us.
They just knew
Right.
right where.
They got a ping on this guy's phone. But so you can find something else other than just face or what you're saying with ancestry or whatever bullshit you're saying.
Genetic sequence.
Genetic sequence. Okay, that's cute. But
They're going to follow their aura.
Okay, I would agree with you. They don't have a genetic sequence, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. Targeting.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, but what I'm saying is there's enough other things out there that you could target somebody on. So like if we were going out to war, how many people had cell phones still in their pockets?
They won't anymore.
Right. It's just going to change how we fight.
Right.
But I don't think it's unreasonable to say we can do that now with the technology we have. I just don't think it's how you're thinking it's going to be with like, what do you really mean by genetic? Like, how are they going to know you? What would they sense or what would they?
No, dude, I think so. AI is
That's the part I don't understand about your
AI
genetic
is advancing at such a rapid pace, right? So we've had conversations about how like AI is going to be able to predict what your illness is if the doctors don't know what it is right away, and they'll be able to predict what your future illnesses are based on the massive data that AI is going to be able to bring in, and it's going to look
they're
at
already
all
implementing some of that in hospitals.
but
now.
they're going to look at all these data touch points, and it's going to be like, okay, if somebody goes to the bathroom at this time and has been in these locations and done these type of activities, we see a 95% connection to gallstones, right? And
Yeah.
all
I
of these
think the
touch
one
points
that-
are going to be completely unrelated, but because AI can see all the data at once and it can connect dots way faster than we can, even if those dots are way farther away, as far as like whether or not they're connected, AI is going to start, it's going to start predicting what your illnesses are going to be, and people are going to start getting treatments prior to ever getting sick and not get sick. So here's where it comes in with the genetic sequencing, right? AI is going to be able to scan a human being, and it'll have sensors based on maybe, I couldn't even tell you exactly what.
I mean, maybe they have such a high definition camera they can get a biometric fingerprint.
Something. There's going to be, there's going to be all these metrics that AI is going to say, hey, if this person's body temperature is at this and they, they're doing this thing, dude, it's going to be insane what it's going to be able to figure out. And eventually it's going to figure out like, oh, I can actually tell the difference between one genetic creature and another based on these parameters that I've seen because I've been able to collect all this data. It's coming.
Okay, I'll agree that the technology
it's
to
literally
that level. But I don't think you need that.
But when it gets to that point,
Terrifying.
there will be no human involved in like verifying the target. We're just going to say this is the genetic sequence we're looking for, and that one. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, where this drone warfare stuff really becomes incredibly like on a whole new level.
I think
of
it depends on your
terrifying.
level of morality.
Because now you send, okay, I know I've got a battalion of troops over there, and I want this to target whatever. Let's just say I want it to target American troops. American troops have a certain, because we've had a long enough of a history that most of them are going to have certain characteristics, whether it's from health or body temperature, or whatever these parameters are, that it will specifically only target American troops. And then all you have to do is open up your briefcases and send 10,000 of them.
Yeah. But I think
they'll individual when they get there, they'll all be talking to each other.
Yeah.
And they'll decide who's going to do which one, and they'll all just
instantaneously.
You can't, dude.
That's why I think it's more what it all depends on your level of morality. Now
there's a problem there in there.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't think people have in those factions that are going to be making these decisions all the time. I don't think they're going to have the morality like me or you might, where that's why I say this technology is already there, because you're gonna target based on something that's mostly right. Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to send out all these drones and they're going to target their people. Now, are you going to have civilian casualties? Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think you ever get away from
You're never going to get away from that 100%. So what I'm saying is you can do it now. Now, the level that you're talking about, I think, is a much higher sophistication and trying to fit all that tech down into that small of a thing.
I think it's a lot closer than we actually think.
However, that brings me to my second point, is you got these new quantum computers that...
The Quigleys.
The Quigleys.
What do they call it?
Quantum computers.
Yeah, but what's the...
So this is the tough thing because I feel like these people don't even know what the fuck this thing does because nobody can truly explain it. They say, oh, it might prove the multiverse. The best explanation I've heard of it that kind of gives me a little bit of sense, but I'm not 100% sure, is regular computers go in bits. It's either a 1 or a 0, and it's just a whole bunch of those put together to make something up, right? Where a qubit can be both 1 and a 0 at the same time. I'm not really sure what that all means, but they basically made computers fucking trannies.
Dang it! I was just gonna. Dang it! I was getting there, dude. You gotta let it simmer for a second.
No, because if I let it simmer, you don't shut the fuck up and you ruin my joke. No, but
It's because it was my joke.
It's gonna do it so fucking fast, and those chips are so incredibly small that it's nothing to throw one in. Now, the energy it takes, a little bit different story. So that's where they got to figure it out. And I think that's going to be a nuclear situation.
It's going to get figured out, dude. Look, they're already talking about building
those nuclear eggs.
Substations. Yeah, basically.
Have you seen those eggs?
Yeah. Yes.
10 years to run your house, and then you just got to have them give her a little charge up.
Dude, if we were smart in this country, power would be completely different. And we're going down a rabbit hole here, but like, there's no point in having coal-fired plants. There's no point in having these huge hubs of these power plants when you can literally have regional nuclear power plants that serve it. They can be as small as to service a neighborhood.
Yep. Well, and isn't that something that they just...
It's the greenest energy you can get. There's no carbon output from those things.
Didn't they just approve that?
They're testing it.
No. But as far as the ability for a company to actually have their own energy center on site versus having to get it from another company nearby.
They're talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's something that I wish the Trump administration would do because
I'm pretty sure they did.
As far as
what would you call that?
No, I mean for them to push for these electric companies, like if Excel owned,
so you're still talking about
5,
them, but
000,
having them smaller and in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, from a national security perspective, right? You no longer have a national security issue with these giant regional grids that are all reliant on very hard fixed locations that are there's only a few of them. Well, if we were ever going to be under attack,
I think you'd almost want more than a few.
No. Currently, we only have a few.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They're huge facilities. They've got to provide power that can travel long distances in order to power homes all over the country. Now, take that and split that all apart and say, okay, like we're still going to have a grid where power is being shared. But now instead of having to attack a region and take out 50 of these things, you have to attack a region and take out 100,000 of them because they're everywhere. They're small, they're safe, and they're powering small areas and then sharing that power into the grid for larger areas. You couldn't take out our power grid.
Right.
This is just physically not possible.
Well, I mean, we do need an upgrade. It's a little past
I do
due,
need an upgrade. So then getting
But
back,
I do recall him
back to
saying that he was with bringing all these new businesses into manufacturing America. He did make mention about allowing them with his whole like pulling off all these redundant and extra shit.
Yeah.
About being able to have your own energy plant on site for these bigger manufacturers. Like say you're a car manufacturer. If you wanted to, now there's still going to be checks and balances to make sure shit's not going to blow up. But if you're a car manufacturer and you're manufacturing a few 100,000 cars a year for the American market, you can now put your own energy creation, whatever the fuck you want to do, whether it be, I think nuclear, if you build next to a river, hydroponic.
So here's
That's not hydroponic. I was
Here's
just
where
thinking
this
about the weed.
Yeah, I bet. Here's where this gets exciting and terrifying for drones.
Yeah.
And do you want to guess which country developed this technology?
Developed what?
Let's say you could have a battery that never needs to be recharged for 50 years.
What country did that?
Yeah, what country do you think has a startup that's actually working on that and is trying to bring it to market?
Probably China.
China. Chinese company Betavolt. And so far, they claim to have developed a miniaturized nuclear battery that can power devices for 50 years without needing to be recharged. Okay.
There's actually, I've seen a few companies come out. I don't know how far each one's to actual production.
As far as I understand, okay, these batteries are
Is that
actually
that
like
egg one?
used. No, these are like for cell phones.
Oh, so small battery.
This is where it gets into the drones.
Gotcha.
Put one of those batteries.
What range?
Right. So it's not just the tactics. It's not just
we missed him this go around. We'll take him on the next rotation
right.
of the Earth.
It's not. There's no. When you get these things, just like our little flamethrower puppy over there, right? When you get these things where like you just buy the dang robo dog, and it lives forever. Because if you can charge a cell phone for 50 years, how long can that... Now, the technology of the actual robo-dog will outlive the battery life.
Do you really want to put that fucking nuclear phone up next to your head?
We shouldn't be putting these phones up to our heads.
True. But at least that one, I don't know it's nuclear inside frying my brain.
So here's the thing. There's no... The claim is with these batteries is that there isn't a radiation risk because what they're doing is using spent rods from nuclear facilities.
I remember that was part of it.
Right?
But they still got enough juice to last
the
that
half-life is no longer radioactive to the point where it's damaging to a human being, but as the half-life continues
Hopefully they have
to
a
degrade,
really good quality assurance team.
It's coming. It's coming.
Sure. I've seen a lot more nuclear companies trying to push like a residential nuclear technology.
Well, and you can blame the lefties for this. Because for forever it was like, we need these wind farms and we need stuff that's going to be carbon neutral.
Those wind
and
farms are
you know,
such a fucking waste.
They are. But we need all these things that are going to be like super green. And everyone's looking around going, well, what's the greenest option? It's nuclear. Mm-hmm. It always has been.
Yep.
But the left has been so absolutely against it for so long. And now all the new advancements that we've had in nuclear technology.
Everybody's scared.
They don't
because
have the
of-
excuse anymore.
Everybody's scared because of what's happened.
Yeah.
When was, I mean, yeah, the one in Japan.
3 Mile Island caused like nothing. The one in Japan was stupid because you don't put a freaking nuclear power plant in an area that gets hit by tsunamis. Hey, New Orleans, don't build a city that's in a bowl below sea level, right? I mean, you can do these things and do them smartly.
Details.
Right. Like, it's never like, what was the one in, well, actually it was in Ukraine, I think.
Technically it would have been Ukraine, but it was Russia at the
It was
time.
Russia at the time.
Yeah, Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Thank you.
I helped my daughter do a
That
report
wasn't,
on that.
that wasn't caused because
Human error.
that was all human error.
Which
And poor design. And poor design.
Okay. Not that
To be
we would
fair.
ever get involved in some shit like this.
We wouldn't.
But if somebody was to say that, I don't know, maybe it was coordinated because it didn't make sense how easily it fried down from the minimal the human had to do.
It was a lot of arrogance on people that were running the facility, and which is a big problem. Like again, here comes AI. AI is not arrogant. If AI is running your power plants, and it's not trying to kill you, which is a whole nother rabbit hole.
Well, once it controls the power and the bots,
I don't know, dude. We're just screwed.
because we may still be at the rate this shit's going, we might still be alive.
We're just screwed. We're screwed. Great. War sucks even worse than it did before. The AI is trying to kill us now.
I think we just made that up.
Probably.
It hasn't tried to kill us yet.
Yet. It doesn't need to. And I've heard this, and I kind of agree with this from a lot of different people, Tim Pool and some others, where it's like the AI is not going to kill us.
No.
It's what it's going to do is complete whatever function it wants done, have us do it without us knowing that we're doing it, and then just let us be. It will probably make life better, at least from the perspective of every human being. It'll make their life better. They'll be wealthier. They'll do less work, and they'll be happier. And they won't even know that their entire purpose in life is just to keep the AI going. There would be no point to the AI killing off humanity. It's a backwards thought. Why? We're useful enough to be able to do what it wants, and then it doesn't actually have to put the energy into doing the task.
Well, what's going to happen is we're going to maybe not breed with them.
Oh, you're talking about like transhumanist stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a transhumanist
drone? Let's flip it right now. Okay, get off the drones. Let's go to like these new what is it? Alter reality, AR. I forget. Whatever the new Facebook
the
things.
VRs. Oh, dude, yeah.
Those glasses you can see through the virtual reality. Those things.
Yeah, VR.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're getting into that now, right? I think we're at the baby phases of it, but let's extrapolate that by 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to wear these glasses anymore. So for $1,500, they could just put that chip right inside under my subdermal layer, and now I've got a computer in my brain.
Yeah, but it's read write capability at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go to work.
Well, I don't know if it. I mean, depending on the electrodes and where it's placed, they might be able to control you. In theory, if the technology advances that way.
Why wouldn't it?
I mean, look at Neuralink. That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Right
now, they're doing it so that you got a break in the spine here. Now your legs don't work. Well, now this chip up here attached to your brain, all it's doing is shooting little electrode shocks down to your feet so you can walk again. You still got the problem, but it's just bypassing.
All right, let me ask you this question. If you could go to work for 10 hours a day, you wake up in the morning, you're living your regular life, all of a sudden you just do whatever you want all day. You went and snowboarded all day. And then you get home and you're at home with your family. You know what you were really doing when you were snowboarding all day? You were working in the factory. You know why? Because that chip can write into your brain that you just went out and had fun all day. But you served a function all day at work. You just don't remember it. You come home, there's money in the bank. You're not pissed off about having been at work. And you're hanging out with your family in the real world. But now, how do you ever know if you're ever in the real world? I was going to say,
let me tell you the truth, because you're not really going home.
Right. See.
And then let me bring you on the next one. We might already be there.
No. My job sucks.
Mine's great.
I love the people I work with.
I like what I do. I get to fuck around with motorcycles all day. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, okay. You are in the pod. You're for sure. Like,
what?
I'm interacting with you, but only in your free time.
Yeah.
So you go to work and you love your job. That's when it's kicking on. That's how I know I'm still pure, because I go to work and I go.
They're just keeping you humble so you think that. That's all that is.
That's nothing.
They're just tricking. It's a psyop in itself.
They're psyoping me into like, we're gonna make him really like the people he works with. But
listen, you got such a tiny. You have the smallest head in the world. I can't imagine that's that hard to trick you.
It's not the smallest.
There's
many children, not all of them.
I feel like my fist is bigger.
There's not all children's heads are smaller than mine. It's many children's heads are smaller than mine.
There are 3, John.
That's not the point.
So
we got way off track there on an AI thing, but I love it.
Dude,
I mean,
I could go wild on a bunch of these things.
The fact that we're even having to have the conversation on, hey, look at how fast drone technology has changed. Look at how fast it's changed just warfare in general. And oh, by the way, it totally gets worse or better. Does it get worse or better? I mean, me personally,
I think it's just going to get different.
I'm not putting the chip in.
I think it's just getting different.
How many people, what do you think the percentage of people is? If they were offered, we're just going to put this chip in your brain, and when you go to work, you're not going to know you're at work. You're going to think you're doing something fun. And then when you get home, it turns off and you just spend time with your family. How
I
many
bet
people
15
in
to
the US would do-
20%.
Oh, I think it's way higher than that.
I don't think so.
I bet.
Now, in 15, 20 years, I bet it'll be over 50%.
Yeah. I'm not talking about like I'm talking about the perfected technology. This isn't testing.
So you're saying
phase
in the
anymore.
future-
we know this works.
We're in the
What
future, it's
percentage of people?
available.
Correct.
Like, say, are you saying it's available right now? And
let's-
it's on the market and where
yes.
people are at now. Hey,
Hypothetically, all
hey,
of
by
those
the way,
things right
Neuralink,
now.
anybody can buy it right now.
Right.
$2,000 and installed, no tax.
Here's what it'll do.
I still think it's under 20%.
I think you're full of it, dude. I think
I think it takes a while for mass adoption.
No. Look, we're beyond.
But I think you can get up to 20, maybe 25%.
You don't have mass adoption when it's in testing, beta stuff, right? That's not mass.
But you
adoption.
just said it was full blown.
Yes, what we're talking about is we are at the point. Let's say we're at the point today where people know that it's safe. It's not going to kill them right away. Getting surgery, it's like an in and out, going to Claire's and getting your ears pierced. It's that kind of procedure.
I think
now
if
you
it
have
was
the opportunity to like, you can serve a function and work. You're going to get a paycheck, but basically in your mind, you're doing whatever you want, whenever you want.
Well, I think if it came out right now with what people know and think about it, I think it's under 20%. Now, when you say it's fully tested, it's safe, no problems, and it's down the road, I think we've probably going to have much more AR in our life where it's going to be much more accepted. So when it actually does become available, like the scenario you're saying, it'll be probably ridiculously high.
I think it's only religious people that won't do it. And the reason I think that is because religious people have, like myself, you're a dirty heathen, but I wouldn't do it because my reality is based on.
I'm a heathen and I wouldn't do it. So that's why I say under 20% right now.
Well, I'm working on it. We're going to get you to church one of these days, but I think that people that have a belief in a higher power structure other than themselves.
What if it's one and the same?
It's not, but no. So
Dom speed.
So this is the kind of stuff I'm going to have to answer for when I get to the pearly gates. They're going to be like, hey, you were actually not so bad, but you did hang out with Dom a lot. That's the thing. No,
You're welcome.
So they have a higher power structure, an authority that they answer to that's higher than themselves. I think a lot of the left. I think
Their belief is going to be it goes against God, so they won't do it.
I don't know that it goes against God. I think it's going to be viewed as like
Because now you're not in God's image. But then again, so is tattoos. So what's to say they won't?
No. Well, and that's not what being in God's image means.
Some people believe that.
It's going to be because if you remove yourself from reality, then you remove yourself from the relationship with the higher power that you worship, right? You can't. That's the reason why.
Can I ask you a legit question?
That's the reason why. That's the reason why. Like from a religious philosophy, like you are not supposed to use drugs, right? Mm-hmm. Because what it's doing essentially is removing you from the reality where you actually have the ability to be in touch and relationship with God.
Well, I'm going to get pedantic on you in a second. Go ahead.
The other thing is people that do not have a belief in a higher power other than like a God automatically place themselves as they are their own highest power. And if they aren't their own highest power, then whatever the social norm is at the time is their highest power, which is why we see lefties just constantly
crowd mentality type of thing.
They're constantly switching what they actually believe because they're floating in the wind with whatever society at the time is saying is the thing to do. We're seeing that right now with like all the greenies went and bought Teslas, but now that the Tesla owner is doing something they don't like, now Teslas are the devil and they're shooting them up and lighting them on fire. Right?
I just hope it really brings down the cost of the Cybertruck.
It probably will. But like they don't actually have like a moral foundation or principle that they stand on. They just have whatever the whim of the crowd is the thing I'm going to do because I don't want to be placed in the out group because I don't actually have a God that I worship that tells me that I have intrinsic value just being me because I'm loved by the God that created me, right? That's a long philosophical conversation. But I think that a lot of people that lean towards leftism and liberalism actually would implant that thing in their head because they're looking at it like, well, I can maximize.
No, they wouldn't.
Hold on. I can maximize.
Neuralink's owned by the same guy.
True, but it does, I don't think it would. Like I said, they float in the wind. It doesn't matter.
But I would agree with
gave,
you on
if you
that.
gave them the option of you can maximize your own pleasure, I don't think they care who they get it from because again, they have this collectivist mentality of like, oh, it's for the good of the people. It's not. Like if you went and offered most of these people, not all, but most of these people that are on like the left spectrum, either a way to just maximize all of their pleasure or to stop espousing what they say they believe and give them $10 million, most of them would do it. And it's for the exact same reason, because they are maximizing their pleasure instead of being focused by.
I would argue that's not a leftist thing. I think that's throughout a lot, every
There
group.
would definitely be some conservatives that would
and
do
to
it.
get back to my
think a lot less.
pedanticness about it, I think you need to redefine who's a religious person, because I think there's a lot, and I don't know what a percentage would be, but I think there's a lot of people that would claim that they're a religious person that don't truly follow the values like you do and like you think.
Dude,
So I don't know if
there's
that
a
would be,
ton.
you know what I
There's
mean?
a ton of Christians that are cultural Christians, cultural, right? Like they go to church and they say like, I believe these things,
Surface level.
surface level stuff, right? And I mean, I swing in and out of that, to be honest. Like it is a consistent journey to try and keep that relationship with God is a consistent journey. And what you find is like, oh man, sometimes I focus
We
on
don't want
me.
to go too religious here now.
Sometimes I focus on me and then I have to start focusing back off of me. But I do that because I have a centralized focus and a higher power to go back to. A lot of people that don't. What would be the logical reason for them to not just focus on themselves and not get the chip put in their head and not just experience
I'm going to argue the other
pleasure
side
all
that
the
you
time?
don't necessarily have to have that.
You can argue it, but let's keep in mind that it's like, okay, if you're
No,
gonna
today was about drones, not other things in the sky. Okay. All right.
okay, that
Otherwise-
was a great lead. That was great. I'm not even mad about that. I'm not even look when you
Because the
when
Anunnaki,
you
aka
succeed-
God, will
when
be
you
back in the next
succeed,
couple
we
years.
succeed, okay, so I'm not even mad about it. That was great. Shit, end it. Turn it off. We don't even
I
need it
finally
anymore.
stopped the preaching. All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. We might keep doing it
I don't know.
till
Why are
John
we
pops that vein in his neck. I didn't get there this episode, but tune in next time because I bet I can do it.
We didn't get there because we didn't disagree. We'll see you guys next time.
We'll get there. Don't you
Rumble,
worry.
YouTube, Spotify. Hit the like button. Leave comments. Do the thing so we can get sponsors and do this full time.
I don't think I could deal with you that much. Once a week is enough.
Lies.
All right.
All lies.
Have fun. We'll see you guys
See you
later.
guys.
You never know what's next, yeah, it's always fresh. Dive into the chatter, get lost in the mesh. Life hacks, laughter, wisdom in disguise. Hosts got you covered, hit you with surprise. Moments you didn't know you needed in your ears. Hey, bud. Podcast, cheers to all your fears. Ride the wave with us in humor and in facts. Current events, nostalgia, ever-changing tracks. No limits to our topic, sky is not the end. Hey, bud. Podcast where strangers become friends.